It was December 28th, 2018, and I was desperate for a break. The holidays had been rough. My job as a freelance graphic designer had left me burned out, and my family's annual Christmas gathering had devolved into the usual arguments, politics, money, and who forgot to bring the eggnog. By the time I got back to my apartment in Brooklyn, I was exhausted. I needed to get away, somewhere quiet, somewhere I could recharge before the new year. That's when I found the listing. It was a cozy cabin in the Catskills, tucked away in the woods near the town of Phoenicia, New York. The photos showed a rustic A-frame with a stone fireplace, a wraparound deck, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a frozen creek. The description promised solitude and serenity, and the price was shockingly low, $75 a night. I didn't think twice. I booked it for 3 nights, packed a duffel bag, and hit the road. The drive up was uneventful. The snow had started falling lightly as I left the city, and by the time I reached the winding mountain roads, it was coming down in thick, silent flakes. The cabin was exactly as advertised, charming, secluded, and surrounded by towering pines. The key was under the mat, and I let myself in. The interior was warm and inviting, with exposed wooden beams, a plush leather couch, and a fully stocked kitchen. A note on the counter read, "Welcome. Please make yourself at home. The thermostat is in the hallway, and firewood is stacked outside. Enjoy your stay." I did a quick tour of the place. The bedroom was small but cozy, with a queen-sized bed and a vintage quilt. The bathroom had a clawfoot tub and a window that looked out into the woods. And then there was the basement door. It was in the hallway, just past the thermostat. A heavy wooden door with a brass knob and a padlock. The lock wasn't fastened, but the door was slightly ajar, revealing a sliver of darkness. I nudged it open with my foot and peered inside. The basement was unfinished, with a dirt floor and stone walls. A single bare bulb hung from the ceiling, casting a dim yellow light. The space was empty, except for a few cardboard boxes stacked in one corner and an old rocking chair in the center of the room. I closed the door and didn't think much of it. The first night was peaceful. I made a fire, cooked myself a simple dinner, and spent the evening reading by the flickering light of the flames. The snow continued to fall outside, blanketing the woods in silence. It wasn't until the second night that things started to feel off. I was lying in bed, half asleep, when I heard it, a faint creaking sound, like someone slowly rocking back and forth. At first, I thought it was the wind, but the sound was too rhythmic, too deliberate. I sat up, my heart pounding. The creaking stopped. I told myself it was nothing, just the house settling or the pipes groaning. But as I lay back down, I heard it again, this time louder, more insistent. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam of light cut through the darkness as I crept out of bed and into the hallway. The sound was coming from the basement. I stood at the top of the stairs, my hand hovering over the doorknob. The creaking was unmistakable now, accompanied by a low, guttural hum. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. The creaking stopped. I hesitated, then pushed the door open and shone the light down the stairs. The basement was empty, just as I'd left it. The rocking chair sat motionless in the center of the room. I took a deep breath and told myself I was imagining things. I closed the door, locked it, and went back to bed. The next morning, I tried to shake off the unease. I made coffee, bundled up, and went for a walk in the woods. The snow was pristine, untouched except for the occasional tracks of a deer or rabbit. The air was crisp and cold, and for a while I felt at peace. But when I got back to the cabin, I noticed something strange. The basement door was open. I was sure I'd locked it the night before. I even remembered double-checking the latch, but there it was, slightly ajar, just like when I'd first arrived. I pushed the door open and peered down the stairs. The rocking chair was gone. My stomach dropped. I scanned the room, my flashlight darting from corner to corner. The chair wasn't there. It wasn't anywhere. I closed the door and locked it again, my hands shaking. I spent the rest of the day trying to distract myself, reading, watching TV, anything to keep my mind off the basement. But as night fell, the unease returned. I was sitting by the fire when I heard it, a faint knocking coming from the basement. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. The knocking grew louder, more urgent, until it was a steady, pounding rhythm. I grabbed my phone and called the Airbnb host. The phone rang and rang, but no one answered. The knocking stopped. I sat there, paralyzed, until I heard something else, a voice, faint and muffled, coming from the basement. "Help me, help me." I don't know how long I sat there listening to that voice. It was soft and pleading, almost childlike. But there was something wrong with it, something that made my skin crawl. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed a knife from the kitchen and crept down the stairs. The basement was empty, just like before. But the rocking chair was back, sitting in the center of the room, and it was moving back and forth, as if someone invisible was sitting in it. I backed up the stairs, my heart racing. I slammed the door shut and locked it, then dragged a chair from the kitchen to barricade it. I spent the rest of the night on the couch, clutching the knife and staring at the basement door. The knocking started again around 3 a.m., but I didn't move. I just sat there, praying for morning to come. When the sun finally rose, I packed my things and left. I didn't bother locking the door or cleaning up. I just got in my car and drove. I never reported what happened. I didn't want to sound crazy. But a few weeks later, I got a notification from Airbnb. The listing had been removed and the host's account was deactivated. I tried to forget about it, but I still think about that cabin sometimes, about the rocking chair, about the voice, and I can't help but wonder what would have happened if I'd stayed one more night. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another story.